Welcome back to The Muster Point, the podcast where veterans regroup, reconnect and relive the moments that made us laugh, learn or question all our life's choices. I'm Stu Mendelson, former Royal Engineer, professional kit inspection survivor and the kind of bloke who will triple check his boots are polished because trauma like that never really leaves you. With me, as always, is my co-host Steve Black, ex-Royal Tank Regiment, king of squaddy banter and a man who once managed to fail a kit inspection before it had even started.
Cheers, Stu. That's a talent, mate, but to be fair, they should never have left me alone. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into the great unspoken truths about military life. Those first-time experiences, the ones that make or break you, haunt you forever, or become legendary stories. We're talking about first deployments, first inspections, first major cock-ups, or for the unlucky ones, first time under fire.
And let's be honest, no one gets through their firsts unscathed. Whether it's turning up to inspection with boots that weren't quite parade standard, aka a disgrace, or realising mid-exercise that you've packed everything except your ration pack, and we've all been there. So today, Steve and I are sharing our own firsts, plus a few cracking stories from you lot who got in touch after episode 1.
Yep, some absolute gems there. Turns out we weren't the only ones who had a rough introduction to military life. Plus, we got a couple of news updates from the forces, a listener challenge at the end, and of course, plenty of banter to get us through. So grab a brew, tea, coffee, or something stronger if you're off duty. Settle into the muster point, where the banter's flowing, the support's solid, and no one gets left behind. Right, let's crack on.
So there we are. Welcome back to the muster point. How's it going, Steve?
Yeah, good, mate. You?
Yeah, not bad at all. What you been up to this week?
Well, the weekend I went to Millwall, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. What was you doing down at Millwall?
There was a football match organised by my mate Chris Bryant. It was Royal Tank Regiment veterans versus a selection of Millwall veterans.
There's no way you played football, was there, Steve?
No, I stood outside. No, they kindly let us set up a stand, and we, a couple of us, raised a bit of money for the Tank Regiment Association.
Okay, did you raise a lot of money?
178 quid, I think it was. Millwall fans, like with all they've got a bad reputation, but they're very generous.
How's the song go? We are Millwall, no one likes us.
Something like that. Yeah.
So you raised some good money.
Yeah,
then.
and you know what? We had a laugh. There was a lot of veterans come over and spoke to us, and the Tank Regiment won as well. I think it was 2-1.
Okay.
So yeah, well done them. But they was all like it was kind of like the muster point. If anything, there's this group. It's called the Military Veteran Football Club. I think it's a nationwide thing where basically veterans can get together and have a game of football. Don't matter what gender, age, disabilities, anything. It's just a nice.
Well, even if you're in a wheelchair.
Even if you're in. Yeah, I suppose. But you can go and goal.
Part the bus.
Yeah, but no, everyone gets together and has a bit of banter and checks in on each other. So yeah, it's a nice organisation.
And did you watch the football afterwards?
Well, because I was packing the stall up, I got into the ground about 10, 15 minutes later, and it was 1-1 at that point. It was they're playing QPR. It was 1-1.
Okay.
And to speak honestly, I bottled it. I walked into the stand and I struggled with the crowd.
Yeah.
And I bottled it and went out. I thought I'd go and find a pub, chill out in a pub for a bit, but there ain't no pubs in Bermondsey.
Oh, no?
I could find. So
what happened?
Well, I walked all the way to London Bridge.
Okay.
About an hour.
All right. And what did it feel like when? What was it about the crowd that?
I don't know. I haven't been in a crowd like that for a long time. I haven't been to a football match for a long time, but I felt like I was going to have an heart attack.
Yeah.
It might have been because I walked up a few stairs, but normally going into concerts, things like that, I would have had a few beers before, and I hadn't. So maybe I didn't have the Dutch courage I could have done with, but obviously that's not the right way to look at life. You can't get pissed all the time.
Yeah, exactly. What, so you just came home?
I did. Yeah, I was quite embarrassed, but I texted a couple of my mates, and they was all good as gold.
Yeah.
One of my mates is from Liverpool, and he's got quite a strong accent. He's so scarce it hurts.
Well, was he with you on Saturday? Was he?
Yeah, and I texted him, and he sent me some sort of voice note. I don't. I'm not sure if I can decipher what he says, but
all right. So this is for the scousers out there. If we could decipher this, let's have a listen.
Yeah, and I get like, lads, ask them, like yesterday, lads, I was just like, in the footy and all around, everyone was shouting, but then I get what you mean, lads. Around if big, massive crowds, and then you just get like,
Yeah, so
What's his name? Give him a shout out.
Sean Connolly, top bloke, Twinny. But yeah, no, he was good as goal. Good
What was it you said earlier on? He's so scarce.
It hurts.
Yeah, so if you are scarce, or Twinny, is it? Did you say?
Yeah.
Go on, what's that nickname about?
He's got a twin brother.
All right, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
I like it. Twinny, if you're listening, can you just decode that for us, please? Because, my scarcelish isn't that good.
He's got smashing teeth and a lovely tan. I think he just got back from Turkey.
The old turkey teeth. Yeah. So obviously, like, this is the second podcast, and we've been doing a lot this week, haven't we?
We had the muster point.
What did I say? Well, we're up to 170 downloads of the podcast. I mean, it's bloody quite incredible considering what last week we thought there was one Rathredge bloke listening. But it turns out that actually there's quite a few people, and we couldn't have asked for more. And so thank you for listening, and hopefully we can do this one justice.
I don't think we've offended anyone either, have we? No one said anything. Saying that, my wife was offended.
Yeah, go on.
You made a comment about a threatening letter from the NHS.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, she works for the NHS. She reckons that they will never send out a threatening letter.
Okay.
I said, well, I've seen this letter from the dentist, and she said, oh, the dentist, that's different.
Oh, it's dentist, it's all right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I apologise to the NHS, and just to make it clear that it was from an NHS dentist. Still the NHS though, Steve, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so we're up to over 170 listeners, which is brilliant. Keep sending your stories in. This week we're talking military firsts. What else we done? We've done loads. So, as we said, obviously we've got the physical hub in Stevenage, the muster point, which meets every Tuesday morning between 10 and 12, where the veterans can come down, bringing misses by all accounts. Some people do. Have a breakfast, have a bite to eat, have a bit of camaraderie and all that. And we've just, by the looks of it, fingers crossed, we've secured funding for another 6 months for that. So that should be just under a year. That's good news, isn't it, Steve?
It's good. There was an old bloke yesterday. I think worked out he was about 93. He was in national service. And he said it's been life-changing. That's what he said.
Really?
Yeah, as he left. Yeah, he shook me hand. He said, thanks for this. It's been life-changing.
Bloody hell, that is...
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but...
Yeah.
93 years old.
What was his name? Give him a shout
Arthur.
out.
Yeah, Remy.
Yeah, Remy. That's Royal Engineers minus education, just to let you know.
We used to call them Winnets in the tank regiment.
Oh, did you?
There was attached arms, so they was known as Winnets.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I've never heard that one, I'll be honest with you.
Big up the win. Anyone attached was always a Winnet. So big up the Winnets.
Big up the Winnets. So we reached out to our local member of parliament, and he's come back to us, and he's really keen to engage with veteran affairs, not as in affairs with your missus, or someone else's missus on. But so we're gonna go and meet him. I think that's booked in for next Friday. So again, if you've got anything that you think is important to bring up, I mean, for me, it's going to be having that central point of contact and a database where, like sort of, if you're a veteran and you're struggling with any sort of issue, you can go to this one focal point, and the people that there have got a database of every single charity or organisation that supports veterans throughout the country, and you can be signposted there.
Isn't that what the Veterans Gateway is for?
Well, that is a very interesting point, Steve, because it's meant to be, isn't it?
Well, you'd like to think so. The thought's there, the idea's there, but it doesn't seem to have been finished.
So I'd be interested to hear from people. So if you type in Google veteran support, it comes up the Veterans Gateway.
Google it,
yeah. Google it, Steve. And so I Googled it, and I went on. But basically, it's like someone's got, as Steve said, someone's gone, this is a good idea, have one focal point, and not bothered finishing the job because it's absolutely useless, and I can get my head around it. So yeah, that's important to me. What's important? What are you going to be bringing up, Steve, with him? Apart from your bin issue.
Yeah, I've got a problem with the bins in Stevenage, but no, I want people to be held accountable, and I don't think the last government done enough for veterans in the armed forces. In this new government, well, they're not protecting the Northern Ireland veterans. They seem to, I don't know the ins and outs of the Good Friday Agreement, but they seem to protect all the terrorists. So that'll be. And I know the members at the muster point yesterday. One bloke, I think he was in the Queen's Regiment from 71 to 79. He'd done 6 tours of Northern Ireland, and he's worried. He said, "I didn't do nothing wrong, but there is that worry in the back of my mind that they're coming after me."
Yeah,
bloody hell,
that must be horrible to live with.
6 tours in 9 years. That's ridiculous, isn't it? That really is.
And that was quite a kinetic period of time in Northern Ireland, wasn't it? So to have that sort of lingering over you, especially as you get older, it's not on. It's not on. It needs to be nipped in the bud. I think you're right. So what else we got?
You weren't refereeing at the weekend, was you? I know you like to do a bit of football refereeing.
Yeah. I was.
Did I know you've only got one eye?
I try my best not to let everyone know, because you can imagine the stick. Imagine that. Like, are you blind, ref? Well, I am. I'm half blind.
Home end
doesn't make for in the home end. Yeah, it doesn't make for a good afternoon. But yeah, I was reffing. I do enjoy it actually. It keeps me fit. A few pennies in the old pocket.
Keep your eye on the ball.
Yeah, keep my eye on the ball. Yeah. So let's go into our icebreaker question this week. What's the one thing you wish someone had told you before your first day in the forces? Go on, Steve.
My dad did tell me this, but I wish I listened to him. Don't piss it all up the wall. And I've told my nephew who's in the army now, and he ain't going to listen to me because he's always on the piss. But the money I must have spent on booze when I was in the army is ridiculous. I didn't take advantage of there was a scheme where they'd lend you a deposit for an house, you can buy an house, Yeah, so I wish I listened to my old man and didn't piss it all out the wall.
Because what did you say to me the other day? So you were your first posting was Germany, right?
Yeah.
And you were telling me about you had, what was it, 1,500 euros?
Yeah, it just gone from the Deutschmark to the euro, and you got 1.5 euro to the pound. And I was getting paid £1,000 a month. So that was 1,500 euro, and a pint of beer was €1. So I had 17 years old. I had 1,500 pints of beer a month. And I done my best to drink that.
Did you? Did you spend it on anything else?
No.
Because there's a few. What was that bar called? Tingle Tangles in Senna Lager.
Mine was just a squadron bar.
Oh, right, okay, sound. I joined in 2005. Without a doubt, around that time, it was starting to get a bit politically correct and a bit like training basically went softer. I'd always wanted to be in the forces since I can remember, and when I always wanted to be a Royal Marine Commando. But when I went to apply, because I'd been a naughty boy in my teenage years and had a criminal record, the Royal Marines, being part of the senior service, the Navy, said that I'd have to wait 5 years for my criminal record to be spent. So that dream was burst. And then I thought, right, sod it, I'll join the parachute regiment. And even the parachute regiment said, give it a year, Stu. And then within that year, I'd found the Royal Engineers, and I thought, yeah, sod it, I don't mind a bit of maths, I'll go off and do that. But so I was turning up at basic training, expecting to be beaten up every day by the DS. But and when it didn't happen, I was like, this is easy. This is a breeze. And I remember I was 21 when I went through basic training, so I was an old man in training regiment circles. And I remember there was like 18-year-old lads and that going like, why are they making us do press ups? And it's like, have a word with yourself, mate. I'd be interested to know what training's like now. Like, do you know? Like you just said that.
I know my nephew, he's been in a few years now, and he said similar sort of thing to you, like they had duvets from day one, I think.
Yeah, I didn't have duvets. I still had the old counterpane with hospital corners. Because that was the other thing, right? Do you remember I'm bedding, like, inspections of that? And I used to love it. Like, it just went in one ear, out the other. I thought, it's just a game. Just like, whatever. They're going to smash your room up. As long as, if on day one they pick up dust somewhere, just make sure there's not dust there again. But you can always find dust. But there'd be people like bloody sleeping, like making their bed in that, ironing it, and then sleeping on the floor. And I was like, what are you doing, you mug? Was you one of them, was you? Bloody hell. It's like getting decent. I mean, you couldn't get did you have the old green mattresses?
Horrible thing, yeah.
So like that, it was like a normal mattress, but it'd been like,
and you weren't allowed to sit on your bed in the daytime
Yeah?
Yeah, if you got caught sitting on your bed, even on the weekend, like, you know, when you got a bit of time off, no, you get beasted. My section commander, he was a para, and he hated us all because we weren't paras. We was you know, infantry, armoured corps, engineer. It was all sorts of regiments, but not paras. So he hated us. Joe Maduro, his name was, and he hated everyone. But he was a lovely bloke in the end. But he just hated us all. But he used to come in pissed up, beast on a weekend, and beast us in the middle of the night.
Where's he now?
I don't know. To be fair, no. I think he left the army not long after that. But his thing was he'd have like a 10p and he'd drop it on your bed. And if it didn't bounce, the sheets
that was it.
Up, oh, you got beasted.
But I remember those were obviously basic training. It's your first experiences in that. And one of the things that stands out for me was, apart from the thrashings, was my sergeant was a Welsh bloke, like built like a rake, horrible teeth as well. And he'd go, what was it he said? And forgive me for the Welsh accent, but he'd go, "Your grass is arse and I'm the fucking lawnmower." And it just stuck with me. That along with, what was it? I don't know about you. Did you have to, so in the morning, I had to do ablutions. Then we had to do, then we'd get inspection. Then we'd be out in the corridor. We had to do you remember your old mess mug thing? The one
that goes on a water bottle.
Yeah, that's it. The black one, about a litre of water. You had to fucking fill that up to the brim, and if there was any space or any gap, you'd get fresh for that. So then you'd have to down it, then sing the national anthem, all like 3 or 4 verses of it. It's like, what on earth have I let myself into?
My platoon, we buffed our floor. We used to get this floor polish, like this army issued floor polish, put on the floor, and then get the itchy blankets. Get someone to get on and we drag him up and down the hallway. Polish floor. We polished it so much it wore like the floor away. We got billed for it. The whole platoon got billed for a new floor.
Did you also have to? Because even in 2005, like the first, I don't know how long it was. Maybe it was the first half of basic training. Like we had to march up and collect our envelope with our cash in.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we used to get 40 quid a week when I was in training.
Was that?
Yeah, and the rest when you got a bank account set up a few months in, then it went to that.
Yeah.
You go and pay parade. That's it, isn't it? March up to the platoon commander. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, you didn't need anything. A few stickies and stims in the naffy. But yeah, I just remember thinking like, what is this all about? And even the training full screws. I remember them saying after we passed out and that, it was like, all right, Stu, you're gonna be a bit disillusioned when you get to your unit because things were changing. I remember someone that I served with ended up in a training regiment, and it got to the point where the recruits had a card system. So if the DS, they felt that the DS had treated them unfairly, they could give the DS a yellow card or a red card. And it's like you're training people to go to war here, not butlins.
Yeah, no, I think people join the army and they want that full metal jacket screaming in your face. You know, that is part. You know, no one wants to be screamed in their face, but that is part and parcel of the forces. I think.
Yeah, without that.
I think that's the people who don't want that they join the Ref Reg.
Yeah, they definitely.
And they get tucked in at night.
Chizzard, where are you? We want you on. So tell us about your fluffed pillows.
He was a fluffer.
So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Like, and as I said, that's what today's all about, is those military firsts. Right, we're going to talk veterans and armed forces news. So what do we have, Steve? We got any good ones?
Well, I think there's a couple of sad ones. One is the US Army Black Hawk that crashed with the aeroplane. Obviously, a sad news. The 3 crewmen were Rebecca Loback, Ryan O'Hara, and Andrew Eves. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Plus all the civilians that died. Really sad, but obviously accidents happen, you know.
I saw that in the news. I'm sure everyone has. And obviously they'll investigate it and see what happened. But I'm just waiting for the old Americans. They love a conspiracy, don't they? And obviously it ties in with just after Trump. And do you remember all those drones that they were picturing flying over going, oh, it's aliens. Because that's the thing, like, obviously everyone's saying, they're UFOs and all this, all the conspiracies and that. And then you look at the videos that people have taken of them, And they've got like the red navigation lights, and it's like
A UFO's not allowed to have navigation lights.
I get you make a bloody good
They
point.
might
there.
have better health and safety than we do.
Imagine that little green man comes down and he's got his his jacket on and a clipboard. But do you know what I mean? Though it's like the Americans love it. But
I think what I heard was the helicopter was training to do an evacuation of a VIP type thing.
okay.
And then, what happened. The other sad thing is there was an 18-year-old called James Wilton. He was killed by a drone in Ukraine. Just a young lad, wanted to help out, a bit of excitement, and he was killed on his first op. And it just goes to show, war is not as glamorous as people may think. A lot of youngsters are playing these games and think that's what it's all about, but actually war is quite boring a lot of the time. It's depressing. Just it's not what you make it, not what you might think it is.
And I think I take issue with it really because, I'm not used like it's this PlayStation generation. I mean, he's 18 years old. I remember seeing a picture of him. He was 7 stone piss wet through, and I'd be interested to know his reasonings. Well, I can imagine his reasonings. Like, it's criminal what's going on out there, but to go out there with no military experience, and obviously when we were in the likes of Afghan or Iraq and that, we had you could call in fast air, we had the full might of the US forces behind us. You weren't sort of out there on your own, whereas, and it was the same thing with ISIS, wasn't it? It was like Dave the IT worker's gone out to fight ISIS, and it's like, mate, this ain't a computer game.
I think the thing is as well, like the support's not there for Ukraine like it was a couple of years ago. People are not as sympathetic as they were.
Yeah.
Now, right or wrong, I think the whole thing is dragging out a bit. It's horrendous. I know that.
Well, Mr. Trump says he's going to sort it out, didn't he?
The first day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He's been in power for a bit now, and it's still going on. You tell that to the Ukrainians.
But it is sad. You're right. But I just urge, just don't do it.
No.
Like think about your family. Think about the people back home, and because the other thing is actually a criminal offence. So for a British person to go out there, like they technically they should be arrested coming back like that. Who's that chick Begram? So
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same law as
I know
that.
there's people in prison because they went to fight ISIS.
Yeah.
They're in prison because the groups I think there's Kurdish groups.
Yeah.
They are terrorist groups.
Yeah.
Although they were fighting worse a terrorist.
Worse a terrorist.
The baddies, like Skeletor.
Skeletor.
Yeah. But they're in prison. I see a documentary a little while ago, and one of them, he's classed as a terrorist.
So what's our advice to people?
Stay at home. If you want to go abroad, go to Iron Apple.
Iron
Benidorm.
Benidorm, yeah.
Big up Benidorm.
Yeah. Right, go to Benidorm. Go on, next.
Here's one for the Green Jackets. They're renaming the museum in Winchester to the Rifleman's Museum, and we'd like some Green Jackets to give us their opinions on that.
Did you speak to George yesterday about it?
No, I'll have to have a chat with him about it next week. I forgot to ask him, and Michael.
So what's this all about? Like, I take it this is sort of
I know
off the back of like the amalgamation of all these regiments.
Yeah, I'd imagine they're probably getting rid of all the other regiments, the Devon and Dorsets, I can't remember the other ones now.
Worcester and Sherwood Foresters.
No,
one?
they're the Mercians, I think.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It was is it RGBW?
I don't know.
Berkshire, Gloucestershire Regiment. Ones who've got 2 cat badges.
Oh, right.
The Light Infantry, the Green Jackets. Yeah. So I don't know if it's something to do with that. They'll probably get rid of all their museums. One. But I know the Green Jackets, their history is riflemen and all that sort of stuff. But the ones that are alive now they were Green Jackets, and they're proud men. You've
got a funny story about the tank. Is it the Tank Museum and your mate that about he got charged to get in there?
Oh yeah. One of my mates. I heard a story that if you're in a tank regiment, you should be able to get into the Tank Museum for free, but you do have to prove you was in the tank regiment. He had no proof, so he had to pay 14 quid or whatever it is. And then when he was walking around, there was a display with his helmet in there and a picture of him where he'd been shot in the helmet and survived. And so they're using his helmet and his picture as one of the displays, and he had to pay to get in. So big up the Tank Museum.
That's quality. Did he enjoy the museum?
I presume so. Everyone does. It's a brilliant museum. If you know,
Was it? You're going to do a little sales pitch, are you?
Yeah. No, it's a really good museum. It is the Tank Regiment's museum, but it has been taken over by. It's more of a business now, I think. But it's a brilliant museum. It's in Dorset, not far from Bournemouth, Weymouth. It's a good day out. Yeah.
Nice.
Other news.
Go on.
There's a submarine. It's going to be called HMS Achilles.
Okay.
But it was going to be called HMS Agincourt. But apparently the King stepped in and didn't want to offend the French.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's why it's going to be called HMS Achilles.
All right.
I don't know why it would offend the French.
I don't know why he's worried about offending the French.
No, yeah. Well, when I looked into a little bit of history, Winston Churchill tried to name a couple of ships that Oliver Cromwell, because Oliver Cromwell was Churchill's hero, apparently.
Okay.
I think several monarchs at the time put a block on it straight away. So eventually he managed to name a tank Cromwell in the 40s. But there was other ships, like one of them's called HMS Cockchafer.
Cockchafer.
I don't know if that's got another meaning, but my immature mind.
That's a current in-service.
No,
ship.
it served in World War One and World War Two.
Yeah.
It's a big up to the crew of the Cockchafer.
Quality.
But there was also, I was watching a programme on the telly the other day, and it was at HMS Duncan, and I thought, where's that name come from? And it was named after Admiral Adam Duncan, and he gave the French a good hiding in 1797. So why can they name a ship after him, but they can't name it HMS Agincourt?
I think it's that it's the sign of the times, isn't it? And of causing offence and worrying about causing offence. And at the end of the day,
It's there to be taken.
Well, it's your responsibility. Like
I just think, King Charles, if you're listening to this,
which he will be,
get in touch.
Yeah. I mean, it's that. What's that word? Woke.
Yeah.
What does woke mean?
I don't even know.
Google it. Go on, Google it. Google it. What does it mean?
What does it mean? Let's have a look. But the other news I've got is Northern Railways. They're encouraging veterans to apply for jobs. It's a northern company, funny enough. I think it's around the Leeds area. They've got engineering jobs, platform staff, all sorts of jobs, but they're actively encouraging veterans to join.
Yeah, that's good. We like that.
Yeah, their website, www.northernrailway.co.uk/careers.
Or as Steve says,
Google it.
Google it. But I'll also, if I remember, I'll put the link in somewhere in the description. But yeah, it's really good. Like anyone up that way that's looking for work, maybe.
There's a lot of veterans on the railway as well. I used to work on the railway, and there's a lot.
Go on, we found this.
I don't even.
What does woke mean?
I don't even know really. I don't think it means what we think it means.
Why do we tread on eggshells, like worrying about stuff like that? Like, I mean, my experience of the forces when I was in, like, we didn't care whether you were black, white, Hispanic, bloody what
gingers.
Gingers, yeah.
Everyone else was all right.
Well, apart from, but we didn't worry about like females, like religion. Like it was as long as you were
respectful,
like good at your job. Like I remember there was a bloke in my squadron in Afghan, and fair play, he didn't leave Bastion, but he used to get his prayer mat out 5 times a day, and like he worked it around the job and that, and nobody really had a problem with it. And I think I know everyone's experience is different, and I know there's a big thing at the moment with the. It was illegal to be homosexual, wasn't it, in the forces up until like the 90s, maybe.
I think it might have been 2000.
2000s.
Yeah.
So I understand that in the past, like it's affected people.
We had a couple in my regiment, and don't get me wrong, they got a bit of stick, but not in a nasty way. It was banter.
Yeah,
might have gone over the top sometimes, but no one give a shit.
Exactly.
You're gay.
Yeah.
As long as don't try and kiss me, I'm not bothered.
Well,
if I've had a beer, I don't mind.
Yeah, exactly. Once you've had a beer, I remember there was this bloke that used to go around kissing the boys after the Thursday night in the squadron bar. Funny enough, after he left, he came out as being gay, and everyone was like, "Yeah, that doesn't surprise us."
And chisered, is it?
No. Well, that's a prerequisite to join the RAF, isn't it? You have to kiss boys.
He's in the referee. Did you see that video a couple of years ago when one of them stuck a mortar? Well, there was a gang of them, and an initiation was to put a mortar tube up one of their back passages.
I haven't, no.
Referee.
Yeah, so, you've just reminded me of something, actually.
And then I think they kiss each other after, and everyone's friends, and then you're in the club.
Like it's a normal night.
Yeah.
So I was based at up at RAF Lehman. We had a bar on camp, and so there was I don't know if it was a regiment or a squadron of RAF Reg there. And as you can imagine, so we used to always go out on the piss to the camp bar on a Thursday night. And there was always some sort of ruckus or whatever. And it was a thing in the Royal Engineers. We always used to get naked and just like flop our cocks around. It was strange, but enjoyable, weirdly. Call it camaraderie, brotherhood, whatever you want. Anyway, so I remember one time, me and my good mate of mine, Ben, so we were out there. I think we were half naked, like pissed as anything. And this young RAF Reg lad comes out, and he's like, "Oh, you engineers, you're crazy," and that. And he goes, "Let me get naked with you." So he stripped off all his clothes and that. And me and Ben look at each other, and I was had a bottle of Bud in my hand. Ben grabbed him, pulled him down and that, and I shoved this bottle of Bud up his arse. And I'll never see the bloke again, to be fair.
You go to prison for that now. We had a story like that, actually. We was on Castle Martin Ranges, and it was one of the young lads, he put a top bloke, stuttering Smithy. He had a really bad stutter. It's so funny, and but he could always swear. So he tried to tell you something, and he'd go, "Oh, fuck it!" But it was his birthday, so we was having a piss up. We got this cake or something, and they stuck his face in a cake, and then stripped him naked, and then someone stuck a bottle up his arse. It didn't go right up over it, just in his cheeks. Well, one of the new troop leaders reported it.
Yeah.
And the lad who done it was looking at getting in trouble.
Yeah.
So, but then this was before smartphones, but someone had took a picture, and the OC and the Sergeant Major in the background laughing their head off. So it all got dropped in. But I was quite happy to send, to send this bloke up the river for sexual assault or something. But the lad who was sexually assault, stuttering Smithy, when they questioned him, he said, "No, I loved it."
Quality. Oh my God. Yeah, I reckon this young RAF Reg bloke definitely loved it. Like, I could, how I could tell? He got hard on. Right. So that's the news, guys. So now we're coming to the listener hook. So this is your chance to send in your answers or stories to this question. Go ahead, Steve.
Right, I've got a question. So what was your scariest, awkward, embarrassing or funniest first? Please get in touch and let us know.
Yeah, and I think I'll tell you what I haven't done yet. So the ways you can contact us. So you can we've got some new fancy email addresses, haven't we? Go on.
I forgot what mine was.
You've forgotten. So do you know what the name of the podcast is?
That's the muster point.
Yeah.
And then
do you know your name?
Is it Steve?
Steve. So you can contact us on either steve@themusterpoint.org.uk or my one is stu@themusterpoint.org.uk, and we're also on all your social medias. We're on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok,
X.
That's Twitter, isn't it? X, X, YouTube.
Do they tweet on X?
I don't know. Or do they X on X?
I don't know. I'm not on it.
You're not on it?
Nah.
Well, you are.
Well,
You're part of the muster point.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
So, yeah, we want to hear from you. Yeah. I was thinking about giving out Steve's personal number, but I'm not going to do that.
It's on the back of the toilet door in the service station.
Right. Send it in. Right, so that's the question for today. So send them in. As I said, the social medias, you've got our email addresses. But we've had lots of last week. We asked the question, what was it, Steve?
What was the funniest thing or most outrageous thing that happened during an inspection?
Yeah, and so we've got some, over the course of the week, people have messaged in. So go on, do you want to share some, Steve?
Yeah, one of my mates, Dowie, he had, when he was in phase one, he had an inspection, and the lad stood next to him, started wobbling. He went to faint. Dowie went to grab hold of him. The corporal shouted, "Leave him alone." So he did. And the lad went straight on his face, busted his nose, and got show parade all week for getting blood all over himself.
Quality.
So, yeah.
And what happened to... Oh, you don't know, do you? We need to find out what happened to the lad that passed out.
Old Fivehead, we've mentioned him before.
With the gammy arm.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he used to be able to give himself nosebleeds, so every now and again he'd give his nose a little tweak, it'd bleed, he'd get out of inspections. My brother-in-law, Dog Morris, he had to empty his friend's locker during the inspection, and he'd done it as carefully as he could. The corporal obviously see him not throwing it on the floor, so he made him do the river dance on it to ruin it. Old Chizzard.
Chizzard! Whoop, whoop. We need to get like a theme tune for Chizzard when his name's mentioned.
Well, I don't believe this one because he was a ref reg and he talked about an inspection. I don't think did they have inspections in a ref? I don't know.
No, well, what they may inspect their maid.
Possibly, yeah, that's probably what he means. But anyway, it must have been his maid. So the maid had a homemade. This was a couple of weeks into training, and she had a couple of granola bars that her mother had made, and the corporal found the granola bars and smashed it all up, threw it everywhere, ate a bit, and said it tasted like his nan's jizz. My fridge. Yeah, but my favourite one is my nephew, Tommy Black. He's in the signals. Him and his mate. This is in face.
Tommy Black. Any relation, Steve?
He's my nephew.
Oh, your nephew.
Yeah.
Did you say that?
I did. Yeah.
All right, sorry. I'm deaf as well as blind.
I tried to get him a transfer to the tank regiment, and my mate was the QM at the time. He went, "I'll sort it out," And one of my mates went, "Where's he based?" I went, "He's in the signals, based in the city, like right in the city of York, right in the centre." He went, "Why do you want to get him to go to the tank regiment?" I went, "Because I was in the tank regiment." He went, "So you wouldn't go for the signals where there's women and he's based in the middle of York, and you wouldn't go to Tidworth, in a regiment with 500 blokes?" I went, "Yeah, you're all right, let him stay in the signals." So anyway, but he's enjoying life in the signals. During phase 2, him and his mates had a session one night and had an inspection in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, I sent him a beer funnel. Did you ever have one of him?
Yeah.
Fit up a beer and drink. They was in a Neffy bar and they one of the lads stuck it up his back passage.
There's a lot of arse talk going on today, isn't there?
They filled it up with lager and Jägermeister and he consumed it like Bear Grylls style up his Harris.
Oh, yeah. Suppository style.
Yeah, so they've had a good night anyway, whatever the signals do.
Sounds it.
The next morning they're on the inspection and his mate farted. And out his leg hole, come beer and Jägermeister all over the floor.
Oh, God. So he'd been holding it up there all night?
All night, yeah. Yeah, that's it for the inspections.
Well, I've got one. I've got a couple here from my old staff sergeant, Mick Knowles, in my squadron. He's like 5'0", like short arms. Like, what do you call it? What like
T-Rex?
T-Rex, yeah, he definitely looked like a T-Rex, and he's full of banter. He's been giving me shit all week for this podcast. But so what's he got? He's come up with, this is quite a good one. So he was in Belize, and it's another sort of very homoerotic story. So the lads are out in Belize, and they're having a pillow fight, as you do. And there ended up like there was feathers everywhere. The DS come in and they gave the excuse that a 6-foot chicken had gone berserk in their room, and they carried it. They carried the lie through that much that they ended up putting up wanted pictures around camp and down the local town. And he says their jock SQMS was going nuts, but that's quality. I think I said it last week. Like those opportunities for a bit of banter or winding your mucker up in the army or military, they're there to be had, and it's just seeing through something like that. Like a 6-foot chicken went berserk in our room. I mean, bloody idiots. And then he's got another one here, which is a bit interesting. Where is it? So, and I've never heard of this. So basically, he's saying that the pad wives went on exercise, and they had a kit inspection on the parade square before they were going out, and they all got told to open their Bergens because everything had to be checked. And Vicky Knowles, so Mick's wife, opened hers to find a G-string and other things at the top of her Bergen, and Mick and a WO2 called Stu was stood there waiting as they'd done it to Vicky, and they started cracking up. And they'd also done the same to this Stu's wife. And she just burst out laughing, then looked in her Bergen and found similar. It's just that wind up. Have you heard of a wives exercise?
I think they used to do it in my regiment. Yeah, they
yeah.
Mickey Mouse, jolly up really.
It's a pads thing.
Yeah.
There was that thing, wasn't there? Like either you're a block rat or you're on the patch and that.
Block rat.
Yeah.
Scum.
Did you ever? So in the engineers, there was this thing, and I like Mick. And I like Vicky as well, actually. Vicky wasn't like this, but I came across plenty of pad wives that thought they carried their husband's rank, especially if he was like the sergeant major or something.
Yeah.
So like that. Do you know who my husband is?
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck who your husband is.
I tried to stay clear of people like that. Didn't like them.
Yeah.
So I lived in a block.
I can imagine
Cellar.
you.
I was in the cellar most of the time in our squadron bar.
Quality. So there's some stories that we've had from last week.
I've got one more.
Oh, you've got one more?
I forgot about this. Mate, David P texted me. He said he got pulled up in training. He had this is in the 90s when Gaza played for Rangers. He dyed his hair. He bleached blonde his hair like Gaza. Got pulled up for it. He refused to dye it back. So he was on show and they said, I'm not dyeing it back until all the women on camp get their hair dyed back. So they all got sent down to the naffy to get hair dye. So it's like a bit of a men won, women nil sort of moment there. But yeah, why was he treated differently?
Exactly.
Yeah, so big up Davey P.
Big up Davey P. And his blonde hair.
Yeah.
So now we're coming to the main point of the show, and we're already about 40 minutes in. So frontline focus today is first times in the forces, moments we never forget. So what you got for us, Steve? You got any that you can share?
It's towards the end of my career, my short career. My first time I come into contact with a Taliban gentleman.
A Taliban gentleman? Right, okay.
Well, he didn't kill me, so it weren't that bad. But,
what was this, just on camp or
no,
like downtown?
I think it was just before Panther's Claw. We'd gone into Naddy Alley the week before.
You and bloody Panther's Claw.
Oh, no. Panchai Palang, as it was known, actually. But anyway, we popped into Naddy Alley for a chat with the Taliban, and we'd found an IED, so we just... I think I found it or whatever, and I just sprayed a bit of paint around it because that's what we did.
Yeah.
Let the Taliban know we found it.
Yeah.
I broke a glow stick, put that there as well for him. And then this bloke walked around the court, no lie, about 10 metres away, this Taliban fighter walked around with a machine gun.
Yeah.
And he was just as shocked as we were. I think there was 4 of us sat there, and he emptied a belt of bullets, point blank at us.
Well, I missed.
And missed. All 4 of us had emptied a magazine at him and missed.
That's the tank regiment for you.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
He must have been like the Taliban version of the tank regiment.
He's probably pissed.
Right.
But we just all laughed. We burst into tears laughing. It was all, it happened so quick. We just found ourselves all quickly reloading and then just burst into tears laughing. Yeah. And I always wondered what he said to his mates when he went back to his cave. Well,
you let him get away?
Yeah. We were so busy laughing. We just couldn't believe it. It was funny.
Quality. You make a funny point there, like obviously a big first for people is the first time they come under contact or get shot at. As I said, so I was part of the EMO team, which is the Explosives Methods of Entry team for the Royal Engineers. So basically what that means is if the infantry patrol that wants to take a compound and doesn't want to bother knocking on the door and saying please, me and my wingman would run up with a load of explosives, blow a hole in the wall, and the infantry would run in and kill everything. So I was spent a lot of time out on patrol with the infantry, and there was one occasion where there was a contact going on, and we decided, well, the platoon commander decided to put his guitar away and take this compound, and we go up on the roof, and we was on this roof, and me and my mucker Rocco, who was my wingman, 19 stones worth of pure Fijian muscle. We'll talk more about him at another point. But so we're on this rooftop with the infantry, and the infantry are getting rounds down, and suddenly, like you can hear these overhead, and it must have been about, I don't know, it was definitely within a metre, and me and Rocco are looking at each other on our belt buckles with our racing spoons out, trying to dig ourselves into this rooftop, and we're just in fits of laughter because it's like, what else can you do? You either laugh or you cry. It was so surreal. And I remember getting newspapers, but they were about 3 weeks, 3 weeks behind in that. So anyway, on this rooftop, one of the Grenadier Guardsmen, he's getting the rounds down, and suddenly he started screaming like a girl. He's gone, oh, shit, I've been shot. Saying out of lock stock there. But he's like grabbing his arm and that. He's going, He's gone to his sergeant and that. And the sergeant's looked at him and checked him over and that. He was so lucky. It literally just nicked his arm, like a little bit of blood, and he's gone, it's just a flesh wound, like carry on, crack on. And he was like, moaning about it, like going, "Oh, I've been shot" and all this. And anyway, so a few weeks later, eventually the Sun newspaper comes out, and it's the front page: Iron Grenadier gets shot and carries on fighting, and we were all letting him have it, going, "You, what on earth is that all about?" Yeah, first contacts is always a surreal moment.
One of the most surreal moments I had in the army was the first time I met a Fijian.
Yeah, I bet.
I remember I finished my training and it was all British because it was all under 18s. It was all British. Got to Bovington and he started Bovington the same day as me. He was my mate Nags. He's a Fijian bloke.
Yeah.
I grew up in a very diverse area. I had mates of different colours, religions, but most of them were born in England.
Yeah.
So we all spoke the same. And I met this Fijian bloke, Nags, and I was just like, wow. He was from the complete other side of the planet.
Yeah.
Never heard of Fiji before. And what a lovely bloke. They are so lovely people. You know,
unless they're pissed, and then you have to avoid them, don't you? I remember they'd take over the corridor and it'd be like, right, Team Fiji's on the old on the lash tonight.
Yeah, they love Fosters and rugby.
Yeah, they do. That. Well, that's why the army recruits them for the Army Navy rugby game. But yeah, they are quality blokes. What other firsts?
First time I see the Northern Lights, that was a weird one. I was in Canada and I've been out on the piss in Medat. Got a cab back, and I remember getting out the cab at the camp, and I looked at the sky, and it was all green.
Yeah,
and
weird. Sure, you weren't just pissed.
I was pissed. I thought someone had put something, a pill or something in me drink. I thought, and I was like, the cab driver was laughing at me. What's the matter? I was like, I feel funny. He went, "That's the Northern Lights, you idiot," or the Aurora or something they call it over there.
The Aurora Borealis,
something like that.
Yeah,
but so that was an unusual one.
I remember another beast in on my car, though, right? The DS. So basically, it was like we were getting thrashed on drill, and he turned around and he says, "On the word of command B, raise your left knee. On the word of command Z, raise your right knee." Bzzz. And we're just like that, knees up and down, and it's like, oh my God! But it's funny when you look back at the time of bleeding through the eyeballs, but I had two back then, but. Any more, Steve?
First big mistake I made.
Go on.
I've got away with a lot, but I got away with this actually. But our naffy was really crap one Sunday afternoon, so we went to the Scots DGs in the next camp in Ayres, and we walked in and they just didn't like us. You know, they hated us.
Yeah.
So after a couple of pints, I was bored. I went, I'm going home. So we left a couple of my mates in there, and about half hour later, they come back to the block. They'd been roughed up a little bit, not a good hiding, but they'd had a bit of a discrepancy.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm not having that. So someone had found a smoke grenade.
Okay.
So I scratched all the numbers off it and I delivered it into their bar. Next day, the whole regiment's called out and prayed. The RSM's screaming, shouting, "Who did it?" So I stepped forward, put my hand up. "Me, sir." So he went, "Right, get in my office." So I got up with him. "Well, what happened?" I went, "I did it for the regiment, sir."
Yeah.
He went, "Well, good lad." But there's it's going to get, because it burnt all the carpets, I think. He said, it's going to come back to us because of the serial number on it. I said, "I'll scratch that off, sir." He went, "Good lad." So I got away with that. But that was the first time I had a meeting with a sergeant major, I suppose.
Yeah. But it's funny you say that about the about fighting for the honour of the corps and all this. So that was a running theme on my CRs each year. Corporal Mendelson, he's a good soldier, often in trouble, but it's generally for fighting for the honour of the corps. And my troop commander was away basically, so I didn't see him for the first 3 weeks. I was at the squadron, and the first time I met him was on being inspected by him on a twos parade for Remembrance Sunday. And his first impression of me was stood there, smart as a carrot, twice as crunchy, but with two howling black eyes, where I'd been scrapping over the weekend. I don't know. I remember he was a fat bastard. He wasn't. You know, when you look at blokes, so that's like, it's like, what? How the fuck are you in the army?
Yeah, like, some people they were fat, but they could run, and I never understood it. Freaks. Like, yeah.
Were you like that, Steve?
No, I was fat and I couldn't run.
I didn't mind running. I was like a Thompson's gazelle.
I used to enjoy running.
I don't anymore though. Yeah. What about drill? Like remembrance parades and that, and if that bullshit baffles brains again, like you'd be
that phrase, my dad said that to me actually before I joined the army. He went, bullshit baffles brains. And then when I got to phase 2, we had in Bovington, you had, when you was new, you was on like probation period for a couple of weeks, and then you went on to, I think it's called mainstream.
Yeah.
You was allowed to go to the bar and out of camp. And then if you was really good, you got mainstream plus, which meant you got your own room.
Oh, mainstream plus. Okay.
But
that sounds a bit too close to the RAF Reg for me. Right.
Anyway, my mate, he was a Scots DG in my room. He used to put clear on his boots, the floor polish. It makes your toes go like glass.
All right, yeah.
Like mirror finished. And I said, what are you doing that for? He went, the platoon commander or troop leader, whatever he was called, loves it. If you do this, you'll get mainstream plus or whatever. So on the Monday morning, he'd done that. Next day, he's mainstream plus. So I said to him, let me have some of that stuff. So I put him in I got promoted as well. So yeah, put clear on your boots.
Yeah.
Apparently, when it rains, it all washes off and leaves a blue puddle.
Yeah,
so.
Excellent. Do you know what we had? So being based at an RAF camp, so they flew the Tornadoes out of there at Leeming, and you could go to, I don't know, like one of the RAF, whether it was the stores or one of the engineering places, and they'd paint your boots with tornado nose cone paint.
I heard that, yeah.
And it was pucker. It was pucker. It was like that. And it's funny. Like, I wonder if, do you know, we spoke about those Gren Guards on their inspection. Do you think, because obviously the Gren Guards and Guardsmen, they're there, you see them on Buckingham Palace. I wonder if they do, because like everyone I speak, nobody I know apart from Guardsmen actually ball their boots. If there's always a little trick or...
In the tank regiment, we had we wore black coveralls.
Yeah.
And we had a best set. That was our... we didn't really wear number 2s. We had a best set of coveralls. Even, like, remember at Sunday, we wear... I think they alternate. 1 year it's number 2s, and then the other year it's the best coveralls, best boiler suit.
No way.
Yeah.
I bet you look good in a boiler suit.
I did. I was quite sexy.
That's incredible. But what, boiler suit, boots and beret?
And a belt. Yeah.
Quality.
You talked about the RAF though. My brother-in-law,
Yeah.
he was 28 Squadron. He worked on Merlins. He was like a mechanic or something.
Okay.
And when he first got to his regiment, he got sent to the stores to get some K9P. I think he got told it was some cleaning product.
Yeah.
So he got sent around the whole camp, every department, and then finally to the dog section. And he said that's when it... So after that, he was known as Dog. So now his name is Dog Morris.
Yeah, so K9P is a good one.
I got done actually when I first got to the regiment. I got given my loader, Paul. He was always winding me up.
Yeah.
And he gave me a broken pickaxe handle and an envelope. He went, go and see the RSM. He's got to sign this off. And I thought, bloody hell, like, the RSM, you don't mess with him. But anyway, I've gone into the RSM's office and I've given him this bit of paper. And he's looked at it. He's read it and he's looked at it. He's gone, fuck off. I thought, bloody hell, like, I ain't done nothing wrong. No. I was polite, so I've marched out and I've looked at this bit of paper and it said on it, oi, you wanker. Give me €100. I'm going to be over there with my pickaxe handle. And another thing I see someone get done as well was it's on the tanks. We had it's called an MRS, so muzzle reference system. I think it's called. Yeah. Basically, a little laser's fired in a mirror at the end of the gun that reflects, and it basically. I'm not a gunnery expert. It adjusts any compensation, like because obviously the gun gets hot, the metal warps, and it corrects that anyway. Someone got a tin and they hole punched a load of red paper and they put these red dots in a tin and give it to this new lad and went, go and get these MRS dots, these laser dots calibrated. And they went, sent all round to the REME and everything. Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Paper calibrated.
Yeah, Sprog certainly got it.
I know.
I mean, it was like that. Go on.
That same bloke, Paul, my loader, we got a new gunner and Paul had a piss up the side of a tank on the wheel. Yeah. And the hub had oil in it, OMD 90, I think it was anyway. But all the oils have got named OMD 90 for most engines, no diesel engines. I think the gearbox had OX 165. Yeah. So Paul said to the...
Are you like a bit of an oil boffin?
I love it.
Yeah.
No, anyway, Paul said to the gunner, test that oil. See if that's oil or water. He went, what do you mean? He goes, test it. You can taste it. So he's tested it and he's gone, I don't know what it is. He went, it might be PR55. Everyone, he's just pissed up. And this gunner's tasting his piss. I can't quite put his finger on what it is, but it was PR55.
There's something about you, tank regiment and urine stories, isn't there?
Yeah.
Well, I could share a few.
I've got a funny story. My mate Skilly, when he was in phase 2 of Bovey, one of the lads must have been a right muppet. They all told him it was non-uniform day on Monday morning. You've got to pay 50p. So they make sure you bring 50p in. So he's turned up for parade Monday morning. in civvies with his 50p.
That was brilliant. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like a rite of passage, isn't it? Like you start off as a sprog, you get the shit jobs, you get screwed over with wind-ups and all that. But I don't know, did you have like an initiation when you got to your unit?
Sort of, yeah, like Paul.
Go on.
Good old Paul. I was only 17, he dragged me, well, he took me down the bar. He was good to me, he looked after me anyway. And he made me drink a pint of whiskey.
Yeah.
He didn't make me, he bought me a pint of whiskey.
Is this like you're being made to...
Yeah, me wanting to be part of the gang.
Yeah,
I nicked this pint of whiskey and we all laughed and great fun was had.
Yeah.
About 10 minutes later, he dragged me outside, stuck his hand down my throat, made me sick. I went, what are you doing? I'm all right. He went, no, you'll die. You're 17 years old, mate. Like,
you will die.
Yeah, he goes, we can't have the bar shut.
So it was more about the bar
it did
rather
care
than
about
your
me,
health. Yeah, that's fair. So in the engineers, we have, it's like it's a big thing. It's called an engineering. So when you get to your first unit, you get engineered, and it varies. So basically, it's a drink, it's an initiation ceremony, everything, and like it can be like your top shelf, like a pint of whiskey, but a shot of everything. It can be like horrible stuff in there. So I get to my unit, and I'm aware of this, and I'm again, as I said, I joined. So by this point, I'm probably about 22. So, do you know what I mean? I'm a bit older than your average sprog. So I'm like that going, I want me, where's my engineering? When's it happening? And it was great. So it was one night we was in the block. Yeah, everyone's getting pissed up in my troop and that. And it's like, right, let's get the engineerings on the go. And basically what I had to do is I was naked, apart from my stable belt and my bone dome, my helmet. And they created a pint of, I think there was lager, vodka, the contents of an ashtray, some gone-off milk. I think there was probably a bit of urine in there, a few pubes and that. And I had to stand on this table in my get-up and I had to drink this drink while being babooned round the arse with a pool cue and having my pubic hair set on fire with a aerosol can and lighter. And it was videoed and timed. And so once I'd drunk it, I had to jump out the window, run round the block, and when I come in, everyone shakes my hand, everyone gives you a hug, and you're part of the crew, aren't you? You're part of the team. It's like everyone does it, and it was good. Like I know it sounds extreme.
You're part of the gang then, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. It's like that brotherhood. And I know one of the other troops, there was a story where someone actually had human faeces in there and done it, which, I mean, people do go overboard.
We did have a yard of ale. This was after, but I probably drank it anyway. But we had a mop bucket in the bar, and if you puked up, it all went in the bucket.
Yeah.
And then the new lads would drink this yard of ale, and it would have lager, piss.
Oh.
I remember people putting toilet cleaner in it, and they drank it, fair play to them, or they weren't allowed in the bar.
Yeah.
But I remember another thing we did. There was no new lads. We were just pissed up, and we was going to Canada the next day, so we had a barbecue. We ran out of meat, so we thought, what can we do? So we branded each other.
Yeah,
and, it was horrendous. I've got my shoulders done. I'll show you in a bit. But people was doing, I think we've done arses. That was the main thing. People doing their arse cheeks, and I was like, we're going to Canada tomorrow, and it's like a 13-hour flight or something. So they've all done it. So we've got to Canada. And literally, the day they went, oh, you're early. You might as well go adventure training. So we went horse riding. So their arses are branded. They've done a 13-hour flight, and then we was doing like 30 miles a day on horse.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, it was
funny you say that about branding. A mate of mine, he went sapper, lance jack, full screw, sapper, lance jack. He was like, he was up at, quality lad. He got busted from full screw down to sapper actually. And then he got out because he basically went round one night with an iron that he'd keep plugging in, get it really hot and just go around branding all the sprogs and that. Like, it didn't go. But the thing is, what?
People are woke now.
Yeah.
Kind of
I
a
was
laugh.
going into that. But the thing is, like, he was doing it to himself as well. But this is the thing. So with this engineering, so like, I wanted it. Bring it in, like, it's part of the camaraderie and all that. So before we deployed to Afghan, we had a load of new young lads straight out of training regiment join the squadron. It's like, right, you're being engineered and that, and they're like digging their heels in and all this. It's like, no, you will do it. And there was this one lad, and basically he started drinking it. He's on the table, same as I was. And he's just throwing his drink. And to throw your engineering is like calling your mum a whore sort of thing. Like, we take great offence to it. So anyway, this lad's gone AWOL, and we've got a phone call from I think it was like Leeds or somewhere. Basically, Leeds. Old Bill had collared him and he was in the cell. So me and a full screw drove down to Leeds, picked him up, brought him back to the squadron. The lad didn't have any of his kit with him, so he had to be taken down to Bradford, right? That's where he lived. So I think it could have been Mick Knowles again, my bloody staff sergeant sucking me up. He's gone, Stu, just grab Duty Wills and take him back down to his house in Bradford. From North Yorkshire to Bradford, it was about an hour drive or whatever. And I'm thinking, like, this bloke's an arsehole. I don't want to be stuck in the car with him. I remember driving down there anyway. We're going into the centre of Bradford to find his house and that. And I've turned around to him and I've gone, look, mate, if you're going to do another bunk, tell me now. I'll give it 10 minutes, phone staff and that, and say, like, he's done one. But just let me know. And he's going, nah, Stu, I'll get me kit and I'll be out with you. Anyway, so he lives in the centre of Bradford. Parked up, waiting some more. He ain't coming back, is he? So I phoned up Mick Knowles. I said, look, mate, he's done a bunk and that. Mick's like, right, do you know where he lives? And I was like, nah, like his house is like off around the corner. That's where I see him go. And so Mick's giving me his address. And I'm thinking, Mick, mate, like, I'm in the centre of Bradford at night and there was like some, say, Muslim young men with some what looked like quite ferocious dogs walking around, and I'm thinking like I'm a white British soldier with a very southern accent, like, and that wasn't an option to get out of it. So I had to go out and knock on his door, and I stood in his front room with his mum and dad, and it disappeared, and that was quite a long story, but it goes back to that wokeism, innit? Like
we had a young lad, and he didn't turn up for work on a Monday. This room is based in England, so most of it went home, and the sergeant major come out and went, where's such and such? And then next thing you know, he's had a phone call. His mum's phoned. He's not well, so he's not coming in. Yeah. Sergeant major's gone, I'm his mum now. I'll decide if he ain't coming to work or not.
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, I understand, like you had like the deep cut thing, and there are other cases where people were abusing their authority to the point of bullying. And without a doubt, like, the story I've just told about the engineering, like, arguably, certainly, obviously, it wouldn't happen in a civvy job and that, but people, you have to understand, these are your brothers and sisters you're going to war with, going to fight with, and, like...
that branding incident we had, about a week later, we finished Ulster, we had a couple of days off, so we went to Calgary for the weekend. One of my mates, Susie, he wanted to... Well, he's like, no, we ain't talking. You ain't been branded. We're not talking to you.
Yeah.
So then he agreed. We got you know, the fold-up scissors. You get like a sewing kit.
Yeah.
We left them on a hob for about 10, 15 minutes till those red hot, and then we dropped them on his back. So he's got a branding of a pair of scissors on his back.
Wow.
But then we spoke to him. Then he was in the club.
Yeah, exactly. And,
because that was. But he wanted it. He was begging us to brand him because he just wanted to be in the club.
And that's the thing, isn't it? But everything, like, I mean, I'd done my engineering. The lad that was going around branding people was branding himself, and I know it's hard to explain, isn't it? But there was when we deployed to Afghanistan, like the junior lads, like it was strange because I was a lance chap, so Section 2 IC, and found out the bayonet sprogs in my section had basically gone to our staff sergeant and said, we're scared and all this sort of thing, and it was like, I got a grip of them. I said, like, look, lads, like, chain of command is key in the armed forces, but also, you ain't going to be sprogs like you that are going to be out on the ground with the infantry every day. And then it's, lo and behold, we get down to one of the checkpoints and there's a big contact, and it's I mean, you're never totally safe, but it's reasonably safe. There was a high wall and everyone can duck behind it. And these young lads that were bricking themselves, a few weeks earlier, emptying magazines like the Americans on top of this wall. And it's like, I don't know, a lack of, I don't know what, is it a lack of discipline, like, I don't know, it just seems like a different generation.
Yeah, they've seen Black Hawk Down and they think that's how you...
Yeah, exactly, or too much Fortnite. I'd be interested to, maybe we can get your nephew to tell us what it's like now. Yeah. I know he's a signaller, so he's got scales on his back, but that's about it. But
yeah, I'll have a chat with him. Maybe see if he can phone in.
Yeah, because I said it before. It's like that thing of, it doesn't matter, like, colour, race, sex, whatever. As long as you've got each other's back and you're good at your job, that's all that matters.
I think that's one of the things that made, when I was in the British Army, a good army.
Yeah.
Because everyone volunteered, everyone wanted to be there.
Yeah.
Most of the armies I dealt with, the Americans, the Danish, the Estonians, great armies, but most of them were either conscripts, or a lot of the Americans I met, they was there because they get their college paid for, things like that.
Yeah.
British Army, you want to join because you want crap wages, horrible food,
shit kit,
damp accommodation, and you want to be away from home all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So I've served with a few women in my time and that, and my first experience was in basic training when these two young ladies they'd been injured, so they were in I don't know what the troop, but like they got back squadded, and they come to our troop, and one of them like basically failed and got kicked out, but the other, she basically did it. She failed the time of the CFT, she failed the time for her PFT, but she still got in because she was a woman, which I thought was sad. And I guess that's that change of like positive discrimination to try and get more women in the forces.
I've either got standards or you haven't at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. But on the reverse of that, like there was a girl on an exercise with us, and she was the only female, and she had her own block, her own ablutions block and all that, because you had to keep them separate. But she didn't use it because that meant having to clean another set of showers and all that. So you'd come off exercise like covered in shit and that, and you'd turn around and like there'd be this naked chick next to you washing her, and she was about, well, put it this way, she played for the England rugby team, and she was ginger, so you could imagine what the sight was. Unlike the bloke who had the bottle put up his arse, I did not have a hard on. But it's that attitude. She's in the team, she's in the club. It's like, come on, let's all crack on. It doesn't matter. I remember the female medic who was always on our patrols and that in Afghan and that, like an absolute Wonder Woman. Lindsay, I think her name was, like absolute superhero. So there's no excuse to be a woman. Just crack on and do the job.
Someone's got to be a woman.
Well, yeah, my mum's a woman, so
is she?
Yeah.
I think my mum might be.
So yeah, there's some of our personal first stories, some funny, some serious, but obviously we want to hear about your first. So how can they contact us, Steve?
Google it. We've got
actually, I think you could Google the Muster Point.
On Facebook, the Muster Point, X, the Muster Point, TikTok, the Muster Point, or just leave a comment on the. We've got a YouTube channel. Leave a comment on the video, but if you contact us, if you want anything reading out, just contact us and we can read it out.
Do you want to give out your email address?
Steve at Musterpoint. Steve at themusterpoint.org.uk.
That's right. Well done. Should we have a round of applause for him? Right. So we asked a question earlier on. What did we ask, Steve?
We asked listeners first deployment, first kit inspection, first major mistake, or first time under fire.
Nice. And have we had any responses?
Yeah, I've had a few responses. Funny ones. My nephew Tommy said his first exercise in phase 2, it was a signals exercise. He said they were just getting beasted, putting cam nets up, cam nets down constantly all day. And his mate broke the mallet to bang the pig in. So he got told, use your helmet. So instead of taking his helmet off, he just started headbutting the pigs.
What? I thought signals were meant to have a brain.
No, he's just a muppet, I think.
Yeah. That's quality. How's he doing now?
My nephew, I think he's doing all right.
No, the bloke with his head.
Hammerhead. He had some ibuprofen and he's all right.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. My mate Lassie, he said his first time in a war zone, he was a Challenger 2 driver, going into Iraq. He said all he remembers is abandoned tanks, burning oil fields, and he said the most worrying time was when I was in Kuwait waiting for the Scuds. But he was the first, his squadron, Falcon Squadron 2 RTR, they were the first into Basra Palace. And I said to him, like, you must have had some souvenirs. He went, no, because whilst the Marines were going in there looting, getting all the gold taps and bits and pieces, he said he had to go and fix his tank. So he didn't get any souvenirs.
Because didn't they... I heard stories of the tank regiment emptying the fuel tanks and loading them up with stolen goods from Iraq. Was that true?
I don't know. It wouldn't be hard to do, but...
So no smuggling went on, or not that you're admitting to anyway.
No, not that I see. Don't go wrong. People had posters of Saddam Hussein's from palaces and stuff, and at Falcon Squadron in their bar, they had a massive Saddam Hussein head, like bronze.
What, his actual head?
Yeah, his actual head. No, a big bronze statue of him. They had that in the bar.
Nice.
It's a nice souvenir. I don't know where that is now, but yeah. The other first I got was my mate Mo. Said first beer he had in Iraq. He said he'd snuck a few beers out, and he said he sat on a turret of a tank watching the oil fields burn with a beer.
Nice.
Quite nice.
I've had one come in. My mate Stan Stanley, Geordie. So he says it's not actually his story. It's a story from his best mate, Corporal Damo Robbins, Royal Engineers. Stan says, sadly, Damo passed away a couple of years, so it's sad. But this is what it's all about, carrying these stories through. So
Yeah, definitely.
they're on a orienteering day down in Weymouth, and every location on the orienteering was a pub. It sounds typical army, doesn't it? There. But you had to get an item or something from the pub to prove you'd been there. So there was 5 teams, and the best team gets 5 points, second 4 points, and so on and so on. I guess the sergeant major was judging on the quality of the thing they managed to bring back. So they get back to camp, and the badge calls up Team 1. What did you get from Yates's? Lad shows managers typing with Yates's on it. Second team has a poster off the wall, etc., etc. So the next bar, the badge says, what did you get from Weatherspoons? Team 1, poster. Team 2, beer mat. Team 3, another poster. Team 4, pint glass. Team 5, tramp. Badge is like, what? What's a tramp? And the lads have only took the homeless tramp who was outside Spoons playing a tennis racket with no strings like a guitar. Oh, God. Hold on, there's more to this. While singing Beatles songs with him. Took him to every pub, got him shit-faced, steaming drunk, and then brought him back to camp as their item. Needless to say, they got all the 5 points. And then from the back of the bar, you hear the words, naked tramp. And the tramp gets up on the table and starts stripping and dancing naked as the day he was born. And the badge says, that right, that's enough. And they had a whip round for the lad and gave him a few cans and sent him on his way. That's brilliant, isn't it?
That is good one.
Did you ever go to Weymouth?
Yeah. Bovington's not far from Weymouth, so I was down there quite a lot.
Coincidentally, me and Stan have got a few stories about Weymouth, which maybe will come up later on. But we had a nickname for it, Way Beefer.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah. There was a club there called Harry's Bar, and squaddies were banned, like the army band, not the club. But we still used to go in there.
Yeah, of course.
It was a good night out in there.
Yeah, because as Royal Engineers, and I can't remember for the life of me the name of the camp, but we had a bridging camp down there. So you'd basically spend a week in Weymouth on the piss, sort of not getting in till like 3 a.m, and then we'd be down on the hard, like putting in bridges. And I know a few occasions, a lot of the lads did put their fingers where they shouldn't have, and came out with pancake hands, and
nice.
Like horrendous. You got any more?
No, I've had a late text from
a late one. Yeah. We like a late one.
My mate Paul the sailor about an inspection in. He said he was doing ceremonial duties.
Yeah.
So the night before, they'd been on the piss, as you do. Someone had shaved his eyebrow off. So he panicked. He got his wife to paint one on with makeup.
Yeah.
It was a really hot day that day, so the makeup run down his face.
Okay.
For a big inspection for ceremonial duties. So so he got gripped for that. Got some show parades.
Do you remember? I mean, it was only last week, but you've probably forgotten. It's only just come back to me. So you made the comment about military life being 50% heroics, 50% pure nonsense. I think we may have to change that statistic. I don't think it's a lot of nonsense, but fun times, and hopefully you guys are relating to some of what we're saying. And obviously, as I always say, it's about listener engagement. It's your podcast at the end of the day, whether you're old, young, male, female, whatever.
I know my missus, she was saying a little while ago, she goes, whenever I'm out with my army mates, whenever she hears us talking, it's either IEDs or on the piss.
Yeah, exactly.
That was my time in the army.
Yeah. Or taking the piss out of who?
Refuge.
Yeah. So we want your stories, even if it's not something we've spoken about. If a memory is stirred within the recesses of your mind, how do people get in contact with us, Steve?
Email us at themusterpointstevenage@gmail.com.
But that's the wrong one, so we'll start that again.
You can email me at steve@themustardpoint.org.uk.
Have you got it written down? He's got it written down, bless him.
Or stu@themustardpoint.org.uk, and that's STU. We've got Facebook, TikTok, X, or leave a comment on YouTube. Just let us know what you want us to
We'll get back
shout
to it.
out. Or I will bug my friends, anyone in my phone who's military.
Yeah.
And
And
if
even those that are not military.
And if people don't get back to us, I'll just make stuff up about you.
Yeah. We need to make up some stories about people, right?
Yeah, and then we can have the next episode. We can have true or false.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Also, I'll tell you what. So I know we mentioned last week about it was mentioned about military nicknames, and I reckon we could make an entire episode of it. But we had a comment on Facebook from Mike Townley, cracking up about the nicknames, and his nickname was TSB. Now, I played the game and I said, let me guess. So TSB, so I thought maybe Tactical Sandwich Bandit, or the Sleeping Beauty, or the Soggy Biscuit, or the Tactical Soap Dodger. But he hasn't got back to me. So Mike Townley, if you're listening, what does TSB stand for? You got any thoughts, Steve? No.
That's a tough one.
Well, maybe we'll find out. Right, what we going into now?
The next section's the roll call. I believe, Stu, have you got a mucker or someone you want to remember?
Yeah, so, it's more than a mucker, it's my granddad. Because I know we've mentioned that we want to keep the stories of the past going, and I thought I'd give a posthumous roll call to my granddad, who served in World War II. He signed up on the 11th of the 11th, 1940. And the story goes that, he lived in Liverpool, and a group of his mates were together mucking around, and they made the pact that the next day they'd go down to the recruitment office and sign up. My granddad was only 14 at the time, and they said they'd lie about their age. So he went to the recruitment office, and none of his muckers were there, and he decided, screw his mates, he was joining up anyway, and he joined the King's Regiment, who later became a Royal Artillery Battery, and he served out in North Africa, Sicily and Italy, and then he demobbed in 1946. He came to my Phase 1 passing off parade, and he wore his chest of medals, and he was proud as punch, and typical Scouser, unlike your mate actually. People could understand him, but he was charismatic and he had a story to tell, and everyone was coming up and asking him questions and all that. And so he died on the 5th of November 2007. And I remember it quite vividly because I was up at Gairloch Head on exercise in Scotland on my course to get promoted. When you get promoted, you have like a mini sort of passing off celebration and that, and he was due to come, and we come off from getting thrashed, and I'd had loads of missed calls off my dad, and I ring him back and he says, your granddad's died and that. And it hit me quite hard. I remember breaking down, really sad, like the fact, I don't know, it affected me. I hadn't really felt sadness like that because I think he was just a top bloke. Like he'd stick up for me when I was a kid. He'd give my mum shit if she was telling me off, and I was gutted that he weren't going to be at my parade, my celebration for being promoted. And I look back and I think, after, obviously we've mentioned, I got blown up in Afghanistan and had some troubles after the army, and I think it'd have been nice. I'm not saying that anything would have been different, but it'd have been nice to have him there to speak to. So his name, I haven't mentioned, his name was Albert Carnell, served with the King's Regiment and the Royal Artillery in World War II. And going back to that thing of wokeism, which has been a theme, like lying about your age to join up. Do you reckon the youth of today would do that?
I don't know. I know my great granddad. Yeah, my great granddad on my dad's side. He Joseph Craigs. He joined the Royal Engineers, and he was only 14 or 15.
Yeah,
and he fought in France, doing whatever engineers do.
Yeah.
Sappers, digging sap, sort of. That's why they got the name, don't they?
Yes.
But he did it. And then this is distant relative, not my nephew's side of the family, not blood related, Irish family, John Condon. I think he was 14. I believe he was the youngest British soldier to die in World War One. That's John Condon.
It's mad, isn't it? The
14 years
sacrifices,
old.
those.
Yeah.
We had Arthur at the muster point.
Yeah.
Stevenage yesterday. I know you were speaking to him for a bit.
Yeah, Remy in Africa in North Africa, in Egypt in 1950. Show me all these photos.
Yeah.
And he said he tried to show his son a few years ago, but his son weren't that interested. And yeah, and he was so happy that I wanted to see his photos, and he's got others. And I said, bring him next week. So,
Yeah, damn right.
yeah, so he said if he's not going to bowls, he'll come next week. So,
Happy days.
but, yeah, it's important to share these stories. And
We were contacted via email by Richard Doggett, who wanted to talk about his brother. So his brother Alan Doggett served in the Royal Engineers between 1973 and 1979. He done 2 tours of Northern Ireland, and we've said before that that period of time was quite horrific in Northern Ireland. And sadly, Richard's brother Alan, he had PTSD from his time serving in Northern Ireland. He did get a lot of support from the Legion, which is good to hear. But sadly, he died in 2023 at the age of 68, which is no age. I'm not sure how he died, but Richard does mention that it was associated with PTSD. So thanks for sending that in, Richard. And Alan, I will see you at the bar in the sky one day. So now, as I said before, we like to shout out about charities or organisations that are doing good stuff for veterans, no matter where they are in the world. We want to hear about it. So Steve's got one, and it's quite a personal one, isn't it, Steve?
yeah, I met a bloke called Craig Harrison. He's been on a couple of podcasts. He was a sniper in the Household Cavalry, I think the Blues and Royals. He had the record for the longest kill. It was a rubbish shot, I think. It was about a mile and a half away, but I think it took him 9 goes to get there. I don't know, I couldn't do that. But anyway, he runs a survival school called the Maverick Survival School. It is a charity now. And it's unbelievable what he does. It's in the middle of nowhere. You've got no phone signal, and it's just a way to escape from everything. Like I say, there's no phone signal, and you wouldn't believe what that does to you. It's weird. It's at the end of the day, you get your phone back. Wow.
Yeah.
But he teaches wilderness skills, survival skills, bushcraft skills, all that. When I went down there, I spent a day with him, me and my wife, and my wife's not really a girly girl, but she loved it, being in the wild. We've done trekking. I think we made a mallet, and then from the mallet he'd make this, that and the other. We learned how to make fire. We've done foraging, eating berries and twigs and whatnot. He likes to help veterans with PTSD. He's got his own struggles with PTSD, and he finds that being in the wilderness helped him, and it helped. There's something about being close to nature that just takes all your troubles away. And he's got a therapist who works alongside him. If you go and spend a weekend down there, I think the therapist can come and help. And he does support veterans, so if you can't afford it, he can sort that out. So if you go on Google or Facebook, you'll see the Maverick Survival School.
What's that? The Maverick Survival School. And where's he based?
Down by Portsmouth, I think it is, in the middle of nowhere. He's in the middle. You meet up at a pub car park, and then you follow him.
Sounds dodgy, that.
Yeah.
But
But you know what, though? Talking to him, I'd been on 2 tours at the same time. He was in around Herrick 10. He was on that sort of tour, and I think Tellick 10 as well. And we were talking, and it was like we was mates. We'd known each other for years. We'd known each other for 5 minutes, and just a really nice bloke.
Yeah, so
Even though he was a donkey walloper.
well, again, I'll put it in the description or the comments or whatever. A link to his. What's he got? A website or
I think he's got a website.
I'll try and put as much information on there as possible. And like what you said there about that, you were with him for 5 minutes, and it goes back to this thing of brotherhood, camaraderie, and that. And we had one of the veterans that came down to the muster point in Stevenage on Tuesday. He came down from Northampton.
Yeah, it's not around the corner, is it?
It's not around. It was about 4 minute or 40 minutes to an hour drive there, and then back again. But I had a message off him saying it was the most comfortable or happiest he'd felt in over 10 years. And that's a testament to that camaraderie. It helps, doesn't it? It's there, it's evident, we see it.
Well, I emailed Craig about our group, and potentially if anyone wanted to go and visit him, do that. And he said, just let him know, and he'll give us some dates, and they can, he'll welcome them down there. So
that's brilliant. It really is good.
Yeah.
And again, like if you've got if you run an organisation, if you run a charity, if you run anything that supports veterans, or even if you've been involved with someone, you've been somewhere that you've found helpful as a veteran, please let us know, and we'll talk about it, because that's one of the main points of us, isn't it?
I've got a mate who's doing a walk. I think it's around the Isle of Wight or something. It's quite a challenge.
Yeah.
Joe Smith, the one with the stutter. Lovely bloke, but he's doing it for charity. He's raising money for Scottish Little Soldiers. That'll be we'll talk about that another time. But maybe we can put the details of his Just Giving page in the comments so people can donate if they think it's a worthwhile.
And maybe can we get him on? Oh, he's got a stutter, really. Oh, I've just said that, and Steve's just looked at me, and I've gone,
Do you know what? He'd done his signals course. Part of being a tank crew, you have to do signals. And he got to put a 0, like the HQ, because of his stutter. the training staff put him a 0. So, yeah, he was the one talking all the time. And the other lads on the course said it was hilarious.
Poor bastard.
Yeah,
we can get him on, though, can't we?
To be fair, I think he's cured now.
He's cured, is he?
I think so, yeah.
Bloody hell. Fair play.
Must have been at a bottle.
So yeah, that's the right. Give it one more shout out, Steve.
The Maverick Survival School.
Excellent. And send us in, as I said, send us in any information or details you've got of other organisations we want to get. Spread the word, spread the love. Yeah. Guess what we got now? We've got a competition, an actual competition
with big prizes.
So next week's episode is going to be backcode for civvies. So like all those military acronyms, all like the slang words, we're going to translate them for civilians. So before that, as a lead into next week, we've got a competition, right? And what prizes have we got?
You can have yesterday off.
There we go. Yesterday off. No, come on, we've got some real prizes, haven't we?
We've got wristbands, pens, bottle openers, whistles.
Yeah.
Loads of crap.
Yeah, we've got stuff we can send you. We'll have a dig round in Steve's bag. So Steve's come up with a question. So basically what it is it's going to be a sentence or a phrase or something in, basically Steve's going to read it out in military jargon. And if you decode, like, you have to decode it, send it in to us, and then you could win a prize.
Right, my first one is...
Oh, you got 2, have you?
Oh, yeah.
He's got 2. Oh, look at him.
2 prizes. I want 2 brews. 1 coffee NATO and a tea Julie Andrews. What is it that I want? The other puzzle is my mucker dropped his egg banjo on his Gucci DOS bag. What did he do?
So if you know either of them,
email me at steve@themusterpoint.org.uk.
There you go, and you could be the grand old winner of some the Muster Point merchandise, that I believe merch, as the kids call it nowadays. Or if you just want yesterday off, like, we can arrange that for you.
Yeah, not a problem.
So do you want to read them out one more time?
I want 2 brews, 1 coffee NATO and a tea Julie Andrews. What is it that I want? My mucker dropped his egg banjo on his Gucci DOS bag. What did he do?
There you go. As Steve said, steve@themusterpoint.org.uk, Facebook, X. I always forget YouTube. Whatever you want, just give us a shout and win some of.
Or come to the Muster Point in Stevenage and tell us.
Yeah. And if you come down, you get either an egg bap, a sausage bap, or a bacon bap, and a
penguin,
if we've got any left. So that's almost the end of this week's episode. What we've spoken about. I'll tell you what, the running theme seems to be wokeism. If anyone can send in what wokeism is and what you think of it, be interesting to hear. What else has come up, Steve?
We've covered military firsts, the funny inspections, puzzle, we've mentioned.
Puzzle? What puzzle we done?
My backcode puzzle, my military jargon.
Oh, it's a quiz, isn't
Sorry,
it?
a quiz.
Or competition. A puzzle.
My thick tanky.
Yeah, fair one.
We had a few funny stories.
Yeah, we've also given shout-outs to local organisation. Go on one more time, Steve. What's his name?
Craig Harrison at the Maverick Survival School.
And as Steve said, military firsts. Keep sending them in. Like they truly are, especially from basic training. They're the things that really imprint on you.
Yeah, just any funny stories, really. That's what we're mostly about. Funny stuff. No one cares about your bog standard contact. You bayoneted some Taliban bloke. Who cares?
Or in Steve's case, emptied an entire magazine onto a Taliban fighter and missed.
Well, I might have hit him, but he didn't say how.
Was he wearing his dish dash and all that?
Standard issued flip flops.
Quality. And if you are that guy that got shot at by Steve, give us a shout.
Yeah, you know what? Big up the Taliban.
Steady.
And your shit shots.
Although they probably are living in a local travel lodge near you. Or is that Ibis? Yeah, Ibis. So I'll say it one more time. Contact us on
steve@themustardpoint.org.uk
or stu@themustardpoint.org.uk, and then all your social medias. What we got, Steve?
We've got Facebook, X, TikTok, and YouTube. Put a comment on YouTube.
So yeah, as I said, next week we're talking backcode for civvies, all the acronyms, and there's loads of them.
Nicknames, anything.
Because I'll tell you what, so I said to Steve, I sent him a message. I said, for the third episode, we'll talk about military acronyms. And within about 30 seconds, he sent me this spreadsheet with about 1,000 slang words and acronyms. I was like, oh, you've been waiting for this, have you?
Everyone loves a spreadsheet.
Yeah, they do, yeah. Everyone loves a slang term. There's so many of them. All right, before we wrap this up, we want to hear from you. This podcast isn't just about us chewing the fat. It's about bringing the veteran and civilian worlds together, sharing stories, finding support, and having a laugh along the way.
And here's your mission for next week. What's the most confusing, ridiculous, or downright hilarious piece of military slang or acronym you've heard? Whether you're a veteran trying to explain Gucci kit to a civvy, or a civvy wondering why squaddies call everything alley, send us your best ones.
You can get in touch with us on all the social medias, Facebook, at the Muster Point Veterans, X at the Muster Point, TikTok at the Muster Point, and YouTube, the Muster Point Veterans. And as we said before, we've got Steve at themusterpoint.org.uk or myself, Stu, at themusterpoint.org.uk. And if you want to get properly stuck in, send us a voice note trying to guess what some of these terms actually mean.
And a shout out to all the organisations supporting veterans. If you're running a programme for mental health, career support, or just helping squaddies transition to Civvy Street, let us know. We'd love to spotlight the amazing work you're doing.
Make sure to subscribe to The Muster Point on your favourite podcast platform, leave us a review and share this episode with your mates. Think of it like passing on a bit of squaddie wisdom, only with fewer push-ups involved.
Next week, we're decoding military slang and acronyms for civvies, breaking down the baffling phrases, weird nicknames and random abbreviations we use without thinking. If you've ever wondered why the army has so many three-letter abbreviations, this one's for you.
So don't miss it. And with that, parade, fall out!
You heard him. See you next week.